Hello.
Hello, Soraya.
Hey,
You ready to start our Permanent Green Light Hallucinations podcast?
I'm on it. Hi, this is Soraya.
And this is Jeff.
Our podcast is called Paisley Stage, Raspberry, and Rhyme.
A podcast where the two of us play music that we like and share anecdotes and background about the tunes.
We hope you'll join our conversation. And without further ado, agruviar.
Let's get groovy.
On today's Paisley Stage, Raspberry, and Rhyme podcast, we talked to the three members of Permanent Green Light about their new compilation release, Hallucinations, out now on Omnivore Recordings. The band is comprised of former 3 O'Clock frontman Michael Quercio on vocals and bass guitar, Matt Devine on guitar and vocals, and Chris Bruckner on drums. We recently spoke with all three about the music and their history with the band. Up first on the podcast is our conversation with Michael.
Jeff?
Yes, sir.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's me and Soraya.
Hello?
Hi, Soraya.
So good to hear your voice.
You too. I'm looking forward to this.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Jeff, you ready to go?
Let's get started.
Awesome. So first of all, Michael, we want to thank you for speaking to us on the Paisley Stage Raspberry and Rhyme podcast. And we've got a ton of questions for you, but we want to start with what's most pressing and what's really got everyone's interest, and that is this new release of the Permanent Green Light compilation CD, Hallucinations, released this week by Omnivore.
Today. Yeah.
Today, exactly.
Yeah.
So, Michael, tell us a little bit. After not having played as Permanent Green Light for a while, since the early to mid-'90s, not having released some new material, how did this project come about?
Well, we had the rights to all those recordings, and from the Dutch East India Rockville Records company that we had the rights to since from the recordings until like 1998. That's when it was only a 5-year. Our good friend Bill Bartell, Pat Fear from the Tater Tots and White Flag, and he's no longer with us. He's the one that got us hooked up with the label and was kind of almost like our manager in a way. And
Oh, wow.
And he just signed us up for 5 years, and then everything was ours. We didn't really know that. I think Matt knew that, but anyway, so, all these years later, Matt contacted me in June and said, hey, like late June, and he said, hey, we have all these songs, and, we own them all. We don't have to pay, anybody to use them. We own them outright. And why don't I try to, he said, why doesn't he try to shop them?
Nice.
And see if there's a label that wants to release it, all the songs. And I said, that'd be great, because I think a lot of people don't even know that stuff ever really existed, kind of, I always call it the unheard music.
Yeah.
Because just nobody ever, it never really went past LA, really, for the most part. And so maybe like a week later, he calls me and says that Omnivore is really, it's a big record label that puts out a lot of new stuff and older stuff and whatever stuff. We're interested in doing it. And then a couple hours, next day he calls me and says, yeah, they want to do it. And so that was that. And so from there, we got hooked up with someone we know anyway, our friend Pat. And from there, we just, got the artwork together, found all the old pictures and the old photographers, and everybody's still around. And then just Matt put together the song, SoundCloud, and just kept it the way he had it, pretty much. And we added a couple different songs, and then here it is.
Nice.
And they said, yeah, they want to put it out in October. This is back in July. And so that's really quick in music biz.
Yeah.
And so, so we got everything together and really hustled and And yeah, we made the deadline to right here to October 19th, and here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, that leads into a question that I had, Michael, and that was, so like between 1992 and 1995, I think, Permanent Greenlight released 4 vinyl singles. You had a self-titled CD, EP, and a full-length CD that was Against Nature. And it looks like Hallucinations pulls some songs from each of those releases. Was Matt really the one that picked what songs were going to be on Hallucinations, or was that a group effort, or how did that come about?
Well, he kept all the, I didn't even, to tell you the truth, Jeff, I didn't even know where those master tapes were to all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
I was like, I don't know, does it still all belong to somewhere, that label, or I had no idea. I just, and it turns out Matt had it all.
Wow.
All this time. He kept it, just all this time, and he kept all the master tapes and the DAT tapes and all those things that you need. And yeah, he had a big library of all that stuff. And so he had already put together the SoundCloud of the songs that he had picked.
Okay.
And then I listened to it and I said, wow, that's a great running order. That sounds great. And then the Omnivore people came back so quickly and said, yeah, we want to do it. And then Matt came back to me and said, so do you want to go over this and maybe change the lineup of the stuff? And I said, no, I think actually if people are reacting to it that quickly, as I was, that I really liked it, I think I just keep it the way it is. It really rocks. And so that's what we did.
Nice.
And that, you just said it. It rocks. Jeff and I...
That rocks.
It totally rocks. The sound is...
Jeff and I have heard some of the tracks, and I mean, we're just blown away by the sound. First of all, is just amazing. But these tracks, it's as if, there's another life that was blown into it. And they're mind blowing.
Agreed.
It's almost like they were just recorded and then they just kind of sat in a little vault. As far as how many people ever really heard them, the release, we did the Past This Town, LA, we did the EP one and then the full length Against Nature. And then right after Against Nature came out, the record company folded.
Oh, is that what happened?
And there was really no promotion or no anything, it just kind of, because there was no internet. There was internet back then, but not like we have it today.
Right.
Social media like we have it today, and so the things just didn't get, it just kind of got lost.
We're just glad that you guys thought about bringing these back because just so good.
So good.
And we got back together and we're playing and we're rehearsing the songs, and it's like we were never not friends. It was kind of disappointing. We put a lot of work into the stuff, and it just seemed to Matt was already kind of, do want to do something else, and Chris and I went on to something else, and it was a great little, it was a real great chemistry between the three of us. Matt and I, just our voices, I thought, really, really blend well together, and I never sang with somebody that's a lead singer like that before, somebody that, and it just really, it was really enjoyable. And as friends, we really, really got along. And so, yeah, it was sad when it ended, but yeah. And then just getting back with everybody, it's just like we never stopped playing.
Yeah, you can really hear
the cliche.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say you could tell how good you guys sound together on a lot of songs, but especially You and I Are the Summertime. Your voices just blend so well together.
Yeah, that's a fun song. That's I didn't even know Matt knows all these things, but that was actually a song that him and I had gotten together and written, and we had early on, but we held it back. We didn't want to put it on the first EP.
Wow.
We had that demo tape you hear is the demo tape we had made on his 4-track machine, but we kind of held it back because we knew we were going to eventually, or we hoped we would eventually do an album after the initial EP. We want to kind of save tracks for that,
Uh-huh. Let's listen now to You and I Are the Summertime.
So yeah, and then we went. Earl Menke, the producer who did all the 16 Tambourines and Baroque Hoedown for the 3 o'clock. He's the guy that did You and I Are the Summertime, the whole Against Nature album, and he was really. I just knew because I'm of all my favorite 3 o'clock stuff. It's those early records that he produced, so I knew that we had to go. I really wanted to go back with him, and we did. Actually, before we went and did, right after we did the EP, we got some money from this compilation record, Freedom of Choice.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. I think we got it from somewhere, and we did a track for them, a cover. There was an all cover album of B-52 songs, I think, or 80 songs or something.
Right.
And they told us you guys have to do Hero Worship by the B-52s.
Oh, wow.
Which I think is on their second album. I don't think it's on the first album.
Yeah.
But they gave us enough. Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, yeah, so that is included on that compilation album. And it is a bunch of 80 songs done by 90s bands.
90s bands, yeah. And so they told us to do that. So we recorded that. But with the extra funds we had, we recorded The Goddess Bunny, which was also a song we had already had worked on. And so that's where The Goddess Bunny came from. And our friends at Jabberjaw were going to put out a best of Jabberjaw, all the bands that played there. That was a big coffee bar and turned out to be like a real influential club in the early 90s. For everybody came in and played there, and Nirvana played there. And
oh wow.
when they opened, I made really good friends with them, and I just hung out there. I would work the counter and sell coffee for them, and
Nice.
and it was, I was always there. I was like, couldn't get rid of me. And I saw all those bands come in and play. I saw Hole's first show was there, and Nirvana, and I can go down a list of this. Pretty much everybody from the early '90s.
Wow.
That became like, they went through there, and there I was behind the counter watching them all. And
That's amazing.
And yeah, so they wanted to put out a compilation record, and they said, no, hold the Goddess Bunny, don't put it out on anything else.
Nice.
So we held the Goddess Bunny, even when Against Nature. They said, no, please, And then it turns out they never put out the record. So the Goddess Bunny eventually ended up on a flip side. Matt took it and remixed it with Earl Mankey after we had broken up.
Oh, okay.
He called us and said, hey, the flip side people want a song. Why don't we give them the Goddess Bunny? I'll go remix it with Earl because I want to turn the guitars up. I go, yeah, sure, go ahead. At that point, we were all, over it, and yeah, go whatever you want to do, go ahead. And so that's where the Goddess Bunny came from.
And now here it is on Hallucinations.
And now here it is, yeah. So that's what you're getting from the record is a lot of stuff that And then that really got lost, and so that's kind of it's so new to so many people.
So I wanted to ask and thank you for all the information about You and I Are the Summertime. And the Goddess Bunny is just it's such an insanely good track.
And she's a real person. She's a drag queen that used to hang around, when I played with the Imperial Butt Wizards, which was like a wild band that I had actually, before Permanent Green Light, I started playing with them before Permanent Green Light formed.
Uh-huh.
They were friends from South Bay here, my neighborhood here. People, I forget, I think the guys from Red Cross maybe hooked me up with them.
Oh, wow.
Paul K, Ballad of Paul K, is the singer and the songwriter for that band. And he was just a wild, wild person, wild clothes, and just a wild lifestyle. And we all wore costumes, and it was a lot of fun. And the Goddess Bunny was also one of the people that used to just hang out at the shows and kind of be part of the show. She was in a wheelchair most of the time. She could walk, but she was always in a dress and always made up with a wig and tiara and everything. So that song's about her.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to touch on the chorus of the Ballad of Paul K. Wine and conversation. It's just so infectious, Michael. That song just takes us on this really cool trip. It's just such a cool song, and now I understand the history behind it.
Yeah, Paul's he's still around. He's a professor of art history now. And he's still as wild as ever. But yeah, he's a PhD. He travels the world. He writes books and does all sorts of academic things.
Wow.
But yeah, he's a real person too.
Okay, so now that we've heard the story behind the Ballad of Paul K, let's listen to it.
Say
Hey, so we wanted to know, Michael, about the title of the compilation, Hallucinations. Did that come from you, or was that Matt's idea, or the label's idea?
We wanted to call. I wanted to call the record Balthazar and the Outer Planets.
Oh, wow.
But and we all liked it, but then the label didn't, or I forget who didn't like it. We were just throwing names back and forth, and we were going, name after name, all these crazy titles and fun titles, and I think Matt just wrote something hallucinations, and then I just kind of came back, no hallucinations, just hallucinations.
Nice.
And he said, yeah, that's cool, and I think that's how we got it, and then the label said, yeah, that's cool, and that's how we got hallucination. I also think that, like I mentioned before, how the stuff has never been heard and just forgotten, and it's almost like it never happened.
Right.
So it was like to me, it was like a hallucination. Did that really happen?
Oh, wow.
Wow. Oh, I like that.
So that's why that really meant it was poignant to all the songs being so lost. They were are they really there, or are they just a hallucination? So.
Wow, that's great.
Well, pull us out of the hallucination, Michael. We've been seeing photos on your social media, on the PGL Facebook page. We've seen photo of you guys playing together. We've seen some jam, photos of jam sessions.
Yeah, we've been doing it pretty religiously, like a couple of days a week, or and it's a lot of fun, just to play, and we've been doing a lot of stuff, and hopefully we can do some shows. We're really we're keen on that. So,
well, that's what a lot of people who listen to our podcast and just other fans of the band want to know is, is this something that we should just kind of keep our ears and eyes open for?
Oh yeah, we're definitely a real commodity, and we want to rock and roll. So
please,
how can another thing, Chris Bruckner, who is just one of the most amazing drummers to me, really, and I'm starting to see in reviews people actually noticing his drumming, and that was always one of the biggest crimes to me. It's like, oh my God, this guy is so amazing. Why doesn't anybody know this?
Yeah.
I always thought he was really great, and listening to this now, all in the context of the way it's laid out, it really does, shock you how good this guy is. I never really, I guess I took it for granted, but I'm listening now and going, oh my God, listen to what he's doing.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's just so good. And I mean, we're thankful for this. Not that long ago on social media, you put a post about how new music now is, I'll just kind of summarize, but it's kind of bland. And this just kind of comes and it's like, it's the total energy burst. It's so good to hear.
Well, to me, this is a new band because it's just a new band that's been in a cave for 20 years. It's just to me it doesn't sound dated. It doesn't sound 90s. I hear so much stuff from that period, and you can tell.
Yep.
Right away.
Exactly.
You can hear the guitar sounds and I think maybe the Goddess Bunny out of any of them has that kind of 90s quality to the guitar sound, and that's kind of the production. But everything else to me, doesn't,
It feels timeless to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, we didn't really, kind of get into that sort of, which was great. I mean, I like a lot of bands from that period, but there definitely was a sound to that, like that wall of guitar thing. And
mm-hmm.
I'm just happy that I think Matt Devine's guitar solos that's what's missing from now, guitar solos.
Yeah, now that you mention it, that's true.
Nobody wants to be, Matt Devine is just wailing.
Yeah.
He's like Jeff Beck or something.
He's great.
Yeah. So anyway, it's fun for me. It's fun for me to listen with such fresh ears to it,
Yeah, it's been a while since it came out, so it wasn't a hallucination after all.
No, and I love the 3 o'clock stuff, but at the end of the 3 o'clock, the Vermilion album, actually a lot of people liked, and And there's actually, you and I, Jeff, we joked because there's that song on the Vermilion album that's the one that Prince put out, if everybody listening out there, that actually is the most popular 3 o'clock song ever. It's, it was a hit in the Philippines, and like, it gets the hits on YouTube, and, far more than, all the more known and loved 3 o'clock stuff, and which is kind of weird. I mean, there's even cover bands. There's videos of cover bands in Asia covering that song called On Paper.
You're huge in Asia.
Yeah,
Huge
it's funny,
Japan.
that one song, and so, but with all that, it was so different than the actual, what the 3 o'clock was supposed to be, from 16 Tambourines and Baroque Down and Arrive Without Traveling, that, which is the classic,
right?
What that band was supposed to be. And then by that record, it was so far removed that I really felt when I got the Permanent Green Light together that I had to go back to my roots, even back to the Salvation, or back to,
the guitar bass.
Go back to my
music.
roots.
Yeah.
It had to be rock and roll again, So
I'm so glad you made that decision. Hey, Michael, so there's a couple songs on this track listing for Hallucinations that I wasn't familiar with. So in addition to the songs from the EP and from Against Nature and the singles, there's some 4-track demos that are included, like you mentioned, You and I Are the Summertime and Street Love. There's also a 4-track demo of Lovely to Love Me. Is that the title?
Lovely to Love Me. That was a song it was an early on song that we had written. We were writing so much at the beginning. I've heard this about the Doors, that actually the Doors' first 3 albums were all songs that they had written at the beginning. And they just, when it came time to do Strange Days, they just pulled out more songs. And when it came time to do Waiting for the Sun, they just pulled out. Yeah, they didn't really have to write any more songs. They just kept pulling out because they had this like bag of songs, and that's not to that extent. But Matt and I, in the beginning, had so much material that we just kept pulling out, stuff. So Lovely to Love Me was something again that I believe that was we did it at our first show when we played with Shonen Knife. Oh wow! Which was early on, and then we demoed it. That's what you're hearing on the CD, the demo version that we had made at Chris's in a little home studio on his 4-track. And then it was actually recorded for the Against Nature album, but it never got past like drums, bass, and guitar.
Oh, okay.
It kind of never got. I just didn't want to. Sometimes if you write songs, this. You're musicians. You just it loses its charm to you, and it's just kind of like blah to you, and you just don't want to. That was just one of those songs for me. I just this just isn't working. I'm tired of this song or whatever. And so we didn't go any farther than just, just those little basic tracks that we had started out on. And, but that 4-track demo all this time later, I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's really a cool song. When I first heard it on the SoundCloud, I had completely forgotten about it. And then it's like, oh yeah, that one.
Nice.
It was like hearing it for the first time.
It's got a great vibe to it.
Because so much time had gone by. I was like, okay, I recognize the title, but how did that song go?
And now we all get to hear it on Hallucinations.
Yeah.
You're blowing my mind, man. You're blowing my mind. I do want to bring it back to the release that's out today.
Yes.
Permanent Green Light, Hallucinations compilation CD. I think everyone needs to get it. It can be pre-ordered, or you can go to your local record store because they're still around.
It's a real rock and roll party record.
It really is.
You can just put it on and have a party.
It screams to be played loud.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
100%. Michael, we cannot wait to hear more and more and more, but man, this is such a great release.
Thank you so much, Soraya.
I'm grateful to Matt for holding on to all these.
Yeah, it's really Matt Devine. He's the real brainchild of this whole thing. So, cheers to Matt Devine.
Cheers.
100%.
One of the great Irish tenors.
Oh, well, there we have it. There you go. Jeff, anything else you wanna throw in there?
No, this is way more than I expected.
Michael, you were so generous with your time, and we could ask questions till cows come home. We just wanted to limit it a little, but we could.
Well, I hope I'll be a guest again for some time on your show.
Well,
we'd love to have you back.
Absolutely. Right. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Quercio.
Thank you.
And
there you go. That's
here and everything else. Michael, thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Up next is our conversation with guitarist Matt Devine. Hi, Matt.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
We're doing great.
We're really excited to speak to the members of Permanent Greenlight about the new compilation release, Hallucinations, released this week. Woohoo. By Omnivore Recordings. Woohoo, woohoo. All right, Matt, so we're just we need to ask this question first. So in talking with Michael, he mentioned that you've had the master tapes in your possession and initiated the idea to release this compilation in about June of this year. So tell us and our listeners, what compelled you at this time to get the project started?
Well, so first thing, thanks for having me. I appreciate you asking to have us on your show. I went to, it really all started, I went to go see the Quick reunion at Beyond Baroque. And, I just went because I'm a Quick fan, and I was really excited that record was reissued. And I went and had a blast, and there was the Quick all talking about this record that they released a while ago, and saw Earl Mankey, who I hadn't seen in a few years, and it was a great night. And so it kind of put I just started thinking, wow, it'd be neat for this Permanent Greenlight stuff that has been out of print for so long to see the light of day, So I talked to Danny and had coffee and just said, Danny, how do you do this? And he introduced me to Pat Thomas, and I let the guys know, hey, is this something you would be interested in doing? And they didn't miss a beat, and they said, yeah, sure, So I reached out to Pat Thomas, and it was, I can't really take a lot of credit for things happening because it was just very natural and organic. It just all kind of happened.
Wow.
Hey, Matt, so we're, I like how you mentioned that this process was really organic. Had this project been discussed or brought to the attention of other labels, or was really Omnivore in from the beginning and that was that?
Over the years, folks would every once in a while someone would come out of the woodwork and say, hey, what about this music? I'm interested in releasing it. And we never really acted on anything because the offers were just kind of, folks that had the idea maybe they would start a label, or maybe we just weren't in sync with making something happen at that time. So when after I talked to Danny, I reached out to friends and different, again, very little. It all happened so quick. And when Omnivore expressed interest, it really was like, for me, my perception of Omnivore was, an amazing label that released amazing music. They released Big Star, Chris Bell, the 3 O'Clock stuff. And once that all happened and we started working on the project, and Pat Thomas, all credit due to him for producing this compilation, what I experienced was Omnivore, everyone who's at Omnivore is an expert at what they do and take great care in their products and with the mastering and the whole bit. So it was such a positive experience that once they expressed interest, I was like, okay, well, this is the real deal. And it turned out to be, which made us all really happy.
Wow. Yeah, Omnivore is really a great label. They've done some great stuff.
Yeah, impeccable.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And the sound quality of the stuff that they release is amazing. In fact, this Hallucinations, the mastering is amazing. So we wanted to know, who did the mastering?
Go ahead. So the mastering was done by Michael Graves, who Pat Thomas recommended, and he has Osiris Studios is his mastering lab, and we handed off we went to Brian Kehoe, who does a phenomenal job with tape transfers. I mean, he does a lot of things, and one of the things he does is transferring tapes. So we went to the original master tapes. Some were analog, some were cassette, some were DAT tape. Brian did an amazing job getting that all over and keeping the quality intact. And then we handed that off to Michael Graves, who just did his thing. And Earl Mankey, who produced a lot of the original stuff, Goddess Bunny, the Against Nature tracks, he consulted on the project. So not only was Michael Graves just a superb, talented mastering guy, but Earl also shared his perspective on what he thought would sound cool. So we really were very fortunate to have these super talented people, care about the music and do such a great job.
Wow, so you had a great team behind it.
Right.
And it shows, because it just sounds amazing.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
And when you listen to it, and I'm giving this to all the listeners who I know are going to go out and buy this compilation because you need it. And one of the standout songs on this compilation is Portmanteau.
Agreed.
Which we want to play, but we wanted to ask you to tell us a little bit about this song before we hear it. Tell us a little of the background about the song. It is absolutely a spectacular song.
Oh, well, thank you for that. So, with my songs, a lot of my songs I would kind of bring to the band, and with that one I brought a demo that I had recorded at a friend's house. His name was Chris Cohen. I've known Chris forever. We were in our first band together, and I just went to his house and said, "Hey, I want to record the song. Can you help?" And so he helped me record it, and I played the drums and just tracked this thing, and just had fun with it. Really, the inspiration, which might be painfully obvious, is Arthur Lee in Love, specifically like For Sale, that record, which I loved. And so I tracked this thing and gave it, and Chris really took to it. He just thought it sounded great. And I based the lyrics off of this book that we were all reading called Against Nature. And it's absurd and it's kind of bonkers. But when we took it to Earl, he got into it, and just it became a production.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds amazing. Okay, so let's play it. With Matt on lead vocals, this is Portmanteau. So Matt, you mentioned the demos. In fact, Hallucinations does have 3 4-track demos on it. And one of which is Street Love. We love the studio version, but we're really happy about the 4-track demo version of Street Love, and we're going to play that one too. Where was that demo recorded at?
All these demos are recorded in Chris's den or my apartment or going over to Mike's house and recording with him. So that one, I probably did the drums at the rehearsal space and then did the overdubs at an apartment that I had in Sherman Oaks. The demo, we demoed everything because I loved recording and I was learning how to record. And with a band, as one does, you get your songs down, and doing a demo is a way to do it. And I took it seriously. And so I think I'm really grateful for getting a Lovely to Love Me down. I'm a big fan of that song, and we were never able to pull that off in the studio. So that 4-track kind of is the version that I think we couldn't pull it off because we had nailed it on that. So I'm real excited about that seeing the light of day. And so I just kind of was like, junior producer with a 4-track cassette. And, that led to me getting, an 8-track reel to reel and kind of stepping it up. So it was kind of just a learning process for me.
Right. So the ones that are included on Hallucinations, those are from the 4-track cassette demos, correct?
Yep. 4-track cassette.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what have we missed in the demos? It's Street Love, Portmanteau, and then, You and I Are the Summertime. That's right.
Yeah.
Those are the 4-track demos. Now, let's give it a spin. From Hallucinations, this is the 4-track demo version of Street Love.
I see you, and
And Matt, because first of all, the compilation is so amazing, and we're getting to hear these songs. For example, you mentioned "Lovely to Love Me," which is another power track. It's a great track. And we've been watching on your on the Permanent Greenlight social media accounts. We've seen pictures of the three of you together, and we've read about rehearsals or jam sessions. How has it been getting back together after a number of years?
It's been really great, and we've always stayed in touch. And since I lived in Austin for about 10 years, and I moved back to LA, and it was proximity and inevitable that we'd at some point get in the same room. But music is kind of what brought us together, and it's bringing us together again. And so we're when we hang out, we do more talking and hanging out and laughing than we do actually rehearsing. And so and that's how it was back in the day. So it's kind of like we haven't really missed the beat, and we're all pretty close friends and enjoy hanging out, and we're kind of enjoying that right now.
So you actually like each other?
It's weird, right?
Yeah, it is weird.
I think that's why we failed. That's probably why we failed miserably, because we liked each other.
Well, that's kind of a good transition into my next question. So when the original material was released, there wasn't a whole lot of exposure for the band. And now with the internet, there might be an opportunity for more exposure. Do you guys have any hopes or expectations with Hallucinations reaching a wider audience now?
For me, I don't really have any attachment to some sort of outcome outside of just, really enjoying kind of grabbing victory from the jaws of defeat as far as this music being heard, however it gets heard by whoever, and also getting it sounding as good as it should have back then. Really, indie mastering just wasn't happening back then, and we've all been kind of taken aback at how good it sounds, the fidelity-wise, the balance in the recording, and just, I'm noticing things in there I forgot or didn't notice were there, and just it's nice to think that what we did, that there's an interest in it, and we're very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for it, and not just that it's seeing the light of day, but that folks like Omnivore took the care to get it out there in the way that they have. So it's really just a lot of gratitude, I think.
I like that.
We're very appreciative.
100%. And
so glad you dig it.
Well, we dig it a lot.
Beyond. So one of the things that we found interesting was that Hallucinations was released on CD and digital files only. Was it the label's choice or the band's choice not to have a vinyl release now that vinyl is kind of having this renaissance?
It was really Omnivore that wanted to do a CD and streaming, the digital thing, and again, someone like Omnivore doing a great job with what they do, we were all in. But we do want to see it come out on vinyl at some point. So we have the rights to vinyl release, and we think as good as it sounds on CD, we think it'll sound great on vinyl too, and
Absolutely.
Get the whole thing happening. So we're grateful that it's out, and it sounds fantastic. It would be really cool to get it on vinyl for sure. We're all vinyl nuts.
You're right. I can relate to that.
Yes.
We also heard that there might be a new medium for this release, possible cassette release.
Well, so right now we're working with Burger on doing a release on cassette. Burger Records does they release cassettes, and so we are putting together a version of Hallucinations that's going to be very different than the CD.
Ooh.
It's going to have side A. Side A is going to replicate kind of a kind of cherry pick from the CD as far as the stuff that was not the demos, but the proper recorded versions of the tunes. And side B is going to be all unreleased demos and rarities and a live track. There's going to be an interview that we did at KXOU right when we started the band. So it's a real time capsule.
Wow.
Now I'm really excited about more material.
So Soraya,
those burger guys are really cool, and they're really they're into what they do, and so getting together with them, it's been really fun, and we're thinking around by the end of the year that will happen.
Wow.
Well, that's like that really interesting bonus track on the CD of the connection to Sassy Magazine.
Oh yeah,
that was interesting, and so now I'm kind of anxious to see what other rarities and other things that might show up on that side via the cassette.
It'll be fun. Yeah, I think you'll like it.
Now that we're talking about the CD release, Hallucinations, can we kindly ask you to go back in time a little bit and talk to us a little bit about how you came to be a part of Permanent Green Light?
So I met Michael at Jabberjaw, which was a club downtown that was it was a coffee house, and it was kind of just a cool hangout. I knew Gary and Michelle from going to college together, and Rob Zabrecki was a friend from Valley College here in the San Fernando Valley. And so I was hanging out there, and Michael was hanging out there too. And it was just one of those things where we got to talking about music and wound up playing together in the coffee house at like an impromptu jam. And so that's really where it began at Jabberjaw.
Oh wow, yeah. So I've never been to Jabberjaw myself. It's long gone at this point, I'm sure. But
yeah, it closed in '97.
Okay, yeah. So I never went there, but your track, the third track on Hallucinations, The Goddess Bunny, had me doing a little bit of research online, and I found a YouTube documentary about the Goddess Bunny, and then that also took me down a rabbit hole about Jabberjaw, and I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your experiences at that venue, at that coffee shop, what it was like for those of us who didn't have a chance to go there.
Wow. So Jabberjaw was very cool, very funky. It was, Gary and Michelle were very funny, very smart, and Rob Zabrecki was on the assist and with opening the club. And I was there the night it opened, and it was really like the people who were into John Waters, Red Cross, music, and just being weirdos, really, and just hanging around doing nothing, and just it was a place that it was an all ages club. It became an all ages club, and my first band, Lazy Town, we played there, and Michael saw Lazy Town, and that was one thing that drove the conversation of music that we dug and got to know each other. And it just was a great place to hang out, and it was a great place to see music.
It sounded like a very interesting hangout.
Yeah, for sure. It was left of center.
And now I'm getting to understand a little more about the sequencing. I want to talk about things that you're doing right now. We've noticed and we've seen on through your social media that you've been playing with Gospel Beach a little bit lately.
Oh yeah.
Can you talk to us about how did you start playing with Brent?
Well, I was a big Gospel Beach fan. I heard their first record and thought they were great. And Brent and I had a lot of mutual friends, so I met him through Byron Reynolds, a buddy of ours, and just got to know each other, talking about music. And they recently had a lineup change, and he reached out to me, and I said yes. I didn't hesitate. Really fantastic songs, excellent songwriting, impeccable taste, impeccably recorded. Their last record, Another Summer of Love, is just fantastic.
It is.
So I've done a couple shows with them. It's been loads of fun, and I'm just kind of enjoying it.
Nice. Awesome. It's actually a great fit.
Yeah, it feels like a great fit. I mean, it's up my alley. stylistically. So I'm just doing my thing.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice. So, being a guitar player, myself, an amateur guitar player, I've got a nerdy question. I want to know, like, what kind of guitar you play, what kind of amp you play, what do you use effects? What's your equipment that you play on?
Well, it's typically Fenders, Gibsons, Fender amps. I have a Marshall. In Permanent Green Light, it started like the We Could Just Die stuff as a Strat through a Rat pedal into a Twin. That was the sound. And then when we recorded with Earl Mankey, I used his Marshall. And I was like, wow, this amp sounds fantastic. So I went out and I bought, his was 100 watt, and I went out and bought a 50 watt Marshall, which I still have.
Oh, wow.
So I, it's really, I just got a Fender Deluxe Reverb. So it's just a decision to be made when we play out live. Will I lug the Marshall or will I go with the Fender Deluxe? But either way, it'll sound cool.
Yeah. You're going to keep us guessing. I have another question, Matt, that it's going to take us down into the weeds a little bit. And I don't know if you're the right person to ask, but it's a compositional question. So on You and I Are the Summertime, I was playing along with it with my guitar, and I think the chorus is like a D, C, and a G or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, at the end of the song, I would expect that the song would end or resolve like on a D or maybe like hang on a G. But you guys dropped down to a chord, maybe like an E or something. Who came up with that idea? It's a very unique ending.
That's a good question. Probably, well, if we made a decision on a note, it was probably Mike or I that decided to just do something to make it special at the end there. So that's why we dropped down to the E minor. But I don't remember who made that decision.
Yeah, it's very unexpected, and it makes me think this is the end of the summer when it drops down there. I'm like, summer's over.
Oh wow,
that's the way that's the way that I interpret that chord change, and it's very unique. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Very unexpected.
Yeah, we're a big fan of that song. We all felt like that was where we really nailed it, and so that's why it's first on Hallucinations. We dig that song. We enjoyed making it. We felt like Earl's work there was superb, Earl Mankey's, and I love Michael's bass line and his singing. It's just a very cool track for us, we think.
Yeah, and I will add that as an opening track, what makes it special for me as a fan of Permanent Green Light is the fact that you both sing on the song, and your vocals are both superb on the song. So you're both of you are, Michael and yourself, are songwriters and singers in the band. But by opening this compilation with that track, you get to hear right off the bat both of your vocals on the song, and I think it's a great way to start the song, or start the album rather.
Yeah, I never thought of that. I guess you're right. That did work out really well. Thank you.
Yep.
And I've got one last question, since when you were talking about your amp, and you said, well, when I play live, I'll have to make a decision about which one to bring. So the listeners, we want to know, could we be possibly seeing Permanent Green Light playing live anytime soon?
We would like that to happen for sure. We have fun playing in rehearsal and hanging out together, and we'd love to have the show hit the road. Maybe not literally, but we would like to get out there and play. And so we're kind of putting word out. We're not being terribly aggressive about it. It's just kind of talking to some people, because we've really enjoyed the journey so far, and it's all happened so naturally and organically, this whole thing. So we're kind of just heading along that path.
Nice.
Well, we're all looking forward to it, and we hope that this does come together. This compilation is it's fantastic, and we're so thankful that you put it out.
We definitely are.
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad you guys dig it, so thank you.
All right. Soraya, did you have any other questions?
For right now, I think that's it. Thank you so much, Matt, for your time and for being so generous in talking with us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for your support.
We're huge fans.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll talk to you later, Matt.
All right. See you guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And finally, we talked to drummer Chris Bruckner.
Hello.
Chris Bruckner, rock and roll drummer.
The same. How are you?
We're doing very well. Soraya.
For your voice.
Hey. How you doing, Soraya?
I'm doing all right. You ready to get this started? You ready to share your knowledge and expertise?
My deepest secrets. How's that?
Ooh, we're going to have a TMZ version. Awesome.
All right.
Let's do this.
Sounds good.
I'm at your disposable.
Nice.
So, Chris, Michael Quercio has said, and he said it on his Michael Quercio's Paisley Underground Consortium, and he's also said it in conversation with us, that you are one of the most overlooked drummers around. Do you agree with that statement? What do you think about that?
Yeah, don't believe anything Michael says on that consortium or anything he says in general.
Okay, but let's go back to the statement. What do you think about that?
Overlooked. Do you have context for that? Because I have no idea really. We weren't exactly a gigantic phenomenon, commensurate to how big we were. I mean, that's my guess. I don't really know. I don't have the demographics on it.
So I'll give you the context. We were talking to him about the new release, Hallucinations. Thanks to Omnivore Recordings, out now. Please go get it.
Yes, listeners.
But we were talking to Michael, and we were saying how, first of all, the engineering on this, the production is amazing, and what really rocks. I mean, you just hear it is in your drumming. And he happened to mention, he said, Chris Bruckner is an amazing drummer, and he is probably one of the most overlooked and underrated drummers. And I mean, Jeff and I, we talk a lot about how your drumming on this release is it's outstanding. And it was just an interesting comment.
It's very nice of you. I'm very flattered by his comments and your assessment. I'm very flattered by it. I don't know. I can always be critical of my own playing, I guess.
Well, we wanted to ask you about your playing. Chris, could you tell us how you would characterize or describe your style of drumming?
Well, the interesting thing is I don't like to know my parts going in. That might sound strange. There's in music, there's space. There's space. And then so you can go in for a drum fill or a drum part or whatever transition point there is. And I like to not know what I'm going to do. Because that's when something speaks to me and I can play it better. If I try too much to plan out the event, I sometimes fall short, I think. I like going in and not knowing. It's almost like having faith. Like you go into a fill and you hope God will get you out of it.
Nice. So would you describe your drumming as more of a feel than a technical drummer?
It's more a flirtation.
Flirtation. Nice.
Ooh la la.
Nice.
It's a flirtation. Like I'm flirting with the universe. I'm trying. I don't want to sound too pretentious, but it feels like I'm flirting. Like if I go into something, especially if I'm playing live, I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm hoping something brings me out of it and makes it work. And it doesn't always work. That's why it's a flirtation.
I actually love that. That's a great answer.
Yeah. And there's this real power and fluidity as we're listening through the tracks. And we wanted to know, what was the process like for selecting the songs for this release for Hallucinations? And is there any song that you wish was on there that isn't there?
Well, I think I'm pretty happy with the song selection. I think they did a great job with it. I didn't have much to do with the selection.
Okay.
I gave a little input in the beginning. I think Michael and I were instrumental in making sure that Portmanteau was on it, which Matt, I believe, was not so much for putting his song. portmanteau on the album. But I think it really characterizes the theme of Against Nature and where we were at the time. So I think Michael and I were instrumental in that.
Wow.
But the song selection, I think is pretty good. I don't think I would change the selection. I like it.
Nice. We're so glad that you went with Portmanteau to be on the release. We played that earlier in the podcast, so it's definitely a
stand. Do you like it?
Yeah.
Oh, love it.
Yeah, we love that song.
Oh, I'm glad.
Hey, Chris, we wanted to ask you, with this new release coming out now that there's more opportunity for exposure than you guys had the first time around, are you hoping that you'll get any new listeners this time around?
Well, I'd be happy for any new listener at all. And I'm surprised that anyone's even interested in it, because I'm not sure what the younger generation really listens to. And to imagine that they might be interested in something I did maybe 20 years ago, it's quite flattering to me. So I do hope that if the people listen to it, especially the younger audience, I hope they like it.
Well, I'm not a youngster, but I can tell you that at least a generation below me is getting turned on to it from when I've been playing it. So I don't know
really?
How young you're looking for, but I think.
Well, anyone younger than me is young. So
nice.
And then how has it been getting back together with Permanent Greenlight and playing and rehearsing together and getting through these songs? Has it felt really natural, like no time has passed, or?
It's great to reconnect with the guys. It feels really good. Out of all the people that I've known throughout my life in the music world and out, I've not really kept in contact with many of them. Michael, I absolutely made sure that I had dinner with him once a year ever since we broke up the first time. Even early on, I made sure once a year that I had dinner with him. And I like our once a year dinners, but now that we're playing together, it's great to reconnect in a much more meaningful way. So it feels really good to see the guys. Matt, I had not seen in ages. We're all different, and it's nice to find out who we are, in relation to each other as a group. And playing is fantastic. I really love it. It does feel natural. I can speak only for myself. I've been a little rusty in the beginning, and so it's good to kind of limber up the chops and oil up the hands again.
Nice. Well, Matt had the audacity to say that you guys actually like each other.
That is pretty audacious. No, we don't. We love each other. We love each other. We love each other. I would say we like each other too. I think he's right. We enjoy hanging out. What can I say? It's a friendship with ups. We had our ups and downs in the past, and that's exactly what friendships do.
Absolutely, 100%. Hey, we wanted to ask you, Chris, you guys have been playing together, and keeping that all to yourselves. Are there any plans to share your music at a live show with any of your fans?
Do we have any gigs lined up?
Do you plan to? Yeah, or is there a plan to line up any gigs?
Well, I wish I knew more about it. I get informed last, so. If there's any gigs lined up, you probably know before I do, and certainly Matt knows first. As far as I know, there's nothing lined up, but we are practicing. So a live show is imminent. I mean, we're practicing. We're not practicing just for exercise, although it is good exercise.
Nice. So we'll let you know if you have any gigs coming up.
Yeah. Thank you. Please do.
So, Chris, the fans have been banging at the door, and they want to know, it's, you went pursuing other interests, and now you're back behind the kit. Are you enjoying being back behind the kit?
Oh yeah. I really enjoy playing. I didn't realize how much I missed it until about 4 or 5 years after I stopped, and I was kind of sick of it. I think I'd been in a band since I was 15.
Oh wow.
That's, and off and on. I took maybe a few years off to go to college, and then I think I joined the band when I was in college. I joined Permanent Green Light when I was in college, but I'd been playing since I was probably 12. And then I was in a band when I was 15. And then, so I don't know, I forget how old I was when I left. Maybe I was 35. And I gave, I moved to San Francisco. I didn't play when I was up there. So I did start to miss it 4 or 5 years, 6 years in. I find myself wandering into the music shop to just sit down on a kit and play.
So it sounds like you're glad to be back.
I'm very glad to be back. It's fun. I like the guys. I enjoy the music. The one thing that Michael always has a joke that I was in a band called the Marsupials, and I think we broke up when I was 20 or 18, 19, 20, I don't know, right around there. And Michael always said, Chris is in retirement at 18. And I told him, I used to joke, I'm like, you're the only one that can pull me out of retirement because I really love your song. Oh. But I liked the 3 o'clock, and I loved his song. And so, although I could have, maybe done some other things with other bands, I was really not interested. And but I said, Michael, you can get me out of retirement. And he called me up and he said, I'm going to get you out of retirement. So that's how it happened back then.
Nice.
Brilliant.
Nice. Well, that's how you got into Permanent Green Light. How did you get into drumming in the first place?
Oh, God. Yeah, good question.
Quaker oat boxes?
How did I get into drumming? I'm sorry?
Was that? Quaker oat containers on the table for breakfast?
Well, if you want the true story, the true story is, I think I saw Tommy, the movie Tommy, and I was probably 10 years old. And I thought, okay, I really love this movie, and who is doing it? Oh, the Who's doing it. Okay, so I started getting into the Who, and so I bugged my mom for a pair of sticks, not a drum set, and because that's all they were really willing to go with a pair of sticks. So I got my drumsticks, and she said, if you want to get a drum set, you have to take lessons. And I took about 3 lessons, and I quit because it was just boring. And so I had these sticks, and I just started pounding my bed. I didn't have a drum set. I started playing on my bed, hitting the bed. So that's what it was. It was not Quaker Oats. It was more just the mattress.
Nice.
What I found with that, the interesting thing that I found is I was a pretty fast drummer at the time when I got my drum set, because what I realized, I played on a bed for a year, and you can imagine banging on a mattress. You don't have any stick response. There's nothing that the stick doesn't bounce up. So I got to an actual drum set. The stick bounces up. You don't have to pull it up. So I could play a little bit faster than I had been playing on the bed, and I'd kind of built up this level of playing on the bed that seemed to go better on the kit. So if anyone's learning, I suggest they do a year on the bed.
Nice.
And not on a drum set.
Nice. Practical advice from Chris Bruckner.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah, there it is.
So
just hit the bed, and your technique will improve.
It always helped me.
So another question. So you went from the mattress to a real kit. What kind of kit do you play now?
Well, right now I've been playing the drum set that the Last is providing. So I think that's a DW. I'm not sure.
Okay.
My kit's a Premier, and I still haven't played it on this project, because we've been playing at the Last studio, and they've been so gracious. I've been playing on their kit, but my kit is a Premier, and I guess it's a 4-piece. Yeah, 4-piece Premier, and nothing special, just a regular old kit.
Nice.
Okay, so Jeff and I want to know, and it's just you, me, Jeff, and the space in between.
And the whole world.
We're talking to you. You're the last one, the last member of the band that we're talking to. The other two can't retaliate. All right, bro.
Right.
What dirt do you have on Michael and Matt?
It would be such a long story. It would be such a long story. What kind of dirt do you want? Can you narrow it down?
What can you tell us about?
What kind of dirt? Wait. I want to know how to do this. What dirt did they talk about in relation to me?
So you might have to listen to the episode. It's going to be episode number 7. It should be.
Yeah.
There was no dirt. Only compliments.
There's no dirt. Only compliments, huh?
And all we did was talk about music, but we wanted to throw one in there. See if we could.
Those guys are so boring. Yeah, there's plenty of dirt on me too. There's no real dirt. These are nice, clean cut Catholic boys. That's what I've got to say. These clean cut Catholic boys. I know Matt has strayed a little bit from the pure faith. Michael and I are working on it to bring him back.
Nice. We love it.
Oh, Chris, I love talking to you. I swear I could talk to you all day.
Hey, so Chris, on a future episode, we would like to have you back if you wouldn't mind to talk about Jupiter Effects. But if you wouldn't mind calling back for another episode at a future time. But we really appreciate you talking to us about Permanent Greenlight and specifically Hallucinations that, as Soraya mentioned, that has come out. And we're huge fans. We love the band. We love all your music. And we're really happy with this new project. The sound is amazing. And we appreciate you talking to us.
Oh, I'm so glad. It's my pleasure, of course.
Soraya, did you have anything else that you wanted to ask Chris before?
All I want to say is Chris Bruckner is an amazing drummer. And when you listen to Hallucinations, as all our listeners are going to do so, you're gonna see it as well. You're gonna see and hear. And I highly recommend every track. But if you really want to hear those drums that began on his poor bed and then transcended into bigger things, you need to hear the demo track of Honestly and then Tell Me a Story.
Oh, so that's the one you like.
Oh,
that's the one that you got showcased.
But I like it all, Chris. But I'm telling you, that demo track is just there's a lot going on there, and I like it all.
Well, I'm so happy that you both love it. That it feels really good. I'm glad that people still care about it. That track was recorded, I believe, in my living room where I am sitting right now. In my mom's living room where I am right now.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, we did one little 4-track.
Yeah, no, I mean, Jeff and I, we constantly volley back, this track, and, a daily listen brings a new track to the table, so trust me. But getting the listeners started, and trust me, this is something you're going to want to keep. It's a worthwhile investment, and hopefully somewhere down the road, we'll see Permanent Greenlight live. In front of
Does it get better the more you listen to it?
It really does.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right.
You pick out different things with each new listen, so it's fantastic.
All right. Well, I'll go with you guys.
Chris Bruckner, thank you so much for generously giving us some time during your day to sit and talk with us and answer our questions.
We appreciate
it. And Jeff, without further ado, agroviar.
Groove on, Paisley people. And Chris, we will let you know when your next gig is.
Please do. Let me know. Give me more than 5 minutes too.
We will.
Oh, perfect. We'll send you a text.
All right.
Thank you both. I really appreciate it. It was my pleasure. And I'll see you either at the next gig or the next dinner.
Sounds good. Talk to you later, Chris.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. A bientôt.
Bye-bye.
We ended on a French note.
Yeah, oui, oui.
Oui, oui. Ça va.
All right, ça va.
Ciao.
Ciao.
We hope you liked today's episode with our conversations with Permanent Greenlight.
Yeah, and we definitely recommend that all of our listeners go buy Hallucinations by Permanent Green Light. It's available on Amazon, Omnivore Recordings. You can go to your local record store and pick it up. I picked mine up from Amoeba in Los Angeles.
I picked mine up from Freak Beat Records in Sherman Oaks.
So there's some opportunities there. But with that, we encourage you all to go out and buy it. From what you've heard today, I'm sure you all can hear how great this release is, and we're very excited about it.
100%.
So that wraps up our episode today. So with that, Soraya,
Gente a groovear.
groove on, Paisley people.
Later.
Jeff?
Yes, sir.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's me and Soraya.
Hi, Soraya.
I think it's Soraya. Soraya, are you on the call? Oh no, I think I lost her.
Oh, no.
Let me see if I can add her to the call.
Okay.
Michael, thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Soraya?
Yes?
Holy crap.
Holy Moses. That was awesome.
Let me stop the recording. Hold on.
Whoa.